Have you ever been in a heated argument and wished you'd known exactly what to say? Or maybe you faced a difficult decision, like standing up to a rude coworker or comforting a grieving friend, and wondered, what's the right thing to do here? What if I told you that becoming the kind of person who naturally makes the right choice isn't about memorizing a list of rules, but about mastering the art of living well? Stick around until the end of this video to discover how an ancient philosophical theory can help you grow into a wiser, more confident version of yourself, someone others look up to. This is the essence of virtue theory, a philosophy that goes deeper than simply telling you what's right and wrong. Unlike other moral theories that focus on strict rules or maximizing pleasure, virtue theory asks a different question. What sort of person should I be? It's not just about following laws or chasing happiness. It's about developing your character so that being a good person becomes second nature. Virtue ethics is about transforming yourself from the inside out, becoming the kind of person who naturally does the right thing, no matter the situation. Aristotle, one of the most influential philosophers in history, believed that living a moral life meant nurturing virtues like courage, honesty, and generosity. He argued that by cultivating these character traits, you'd become someone who not only acts well but lives a deeply fulfilling life. Aristotle believed that everything has a purpose, what he called a telos. A knife's purpose is to cut. A good knife cuts well. A plant's purpose is to grow and thrive. A healthy plant fulfills its purpose. But what about us? Humans, he said, are rational and social creatures. Our purpose is to use our reason, to make thoughtful choices, and to live in harmony with others. When we align ourselves with this purpose, when we think clearly and act compassionately, we become the best version of ourselves. But how do we hit the sweet spot between too much and too little? Aristotle taught that virtue lies at the midpoint between two extremes, a balance he called the golden mean. Take courage, for example. Imagine you're at work and your boss is unfairly blaming a colleague for something that went wrong. A coward might stay silent, too afraid to speak up. A reckless person might jump in, yelling at the boss and making things worse. But the courageous person? They'd calmly assess the situation, consider their own position and the potential consequences, and then step in to defend their colleague, firmly but respectfully, if they knew they could make a difference. Another example. Picture a young man walking home at night who sees an elderly lady being robbed. A coward might freeze and do nothing. A reckless person might charge at the robber without thinking, risking serious harm. But the courageous person would pause, size up the situation, and make a reasoned choice. If he sees that he can safely intervene, he might step in and help. But if the robber is a large, muscular man and the young man knows he'd be overpowered, he might instead call the authorities, protecting himself and ensuring help arrives. The same principle applies to honesty. Imagine a friend asks if you like their new haircut, but you genuinely think it's unflattering. Brutal honesty would be blurting out, "It looks terrible," which could hurt them unnecessarily. Dishonesty would be faking a compliment just to avoid discomfort. The virtuous response, saying, "It's not my favorite style, but what matters most is how confident you feel wearing it." This way, you're honest but also kind. So, how do we develop these virtues? Aristotle argued that you can't simply read about them or memorize a checklist. Virtue is like learning to play an instrument or mastering a sport. It takes practice. You become courageous by doing courageous things over and over until it becomes second nature. But you don't have to figure it all out alone. Aristotle recommended finding moral exemplars, people who already live with the kind of character you admire. By observing how they handle challenges, you can learn to navigate life's tricky situations with grace. But why should we put in all this effort? According to Aristotle, the ultimate reward is eudaimonia, a life of deep fulfillment and flourishing. It's not about endless pleasure or avoiding pain, but about living a life that feels meaningful, purposeful, and deeply satisfying. Imagine coming home after a long, challenging day. Maybe you helped a friend through a crisis, stood up for what was right at work, or simply made a tough but necessary choice that aligned with your values. You might be exhausted, but there's a profound sense of pride and contentment, a feeling that you lived well and gave your best.
A eudaimonic life is like a garden you tend every day. It requires patience, effort, and care. You cultivate virtues like courage, honesty, and generosity, and watch as your life blossoms into something truly extraordinary. Even on the days that bring disappointments and setbacks, living virtuously means you can look in the mirror and know you're becoming the best version of yourself. It's not about perfection, it's about progress, about pushing yourself to grow, to care, to contribute, no matter how small the step. That's the heart of a eudaimonic life. So, to sum up, virtue theory isn't just about memorizing rules. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally does the right thing. By finding the golden mean in every situation, learning from moral exemplars, and practicing virtues like courage and honesty, you can transform your life into a journey of growth, fulfillment, and purpose. Remember, being virtuous isn't about being perfect. It's about progress, getting a little better every day. When you practice these virtues consistently, you build a character that shines through in your actions, your relationships, and your sense of self. So, wherever you are on your journey, remember that every small step towards virtue brings you closer to a life of meaning and impact. It's about becoming someone you and the people around you can truly admire. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, share it with a friend, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Let's keep growing together.